Whoops. Good morning. I have Dave and Aaron with me today, and we're talking about the dark web. And funny, before I even share, get on our newsletter. You'll find it under news at dstech.net. You click news and then you sign up for our newsletter, because I share every week. I share articles that will update you on stuff that's going on and stuff that you can leverage for your we got switched around. That's funny. Now I can point up to you.
I didn't do that.
I think I accidentally did it when I was clicking on my microphone, because my microphone is kind of loud. Anyway, so yeah, get on our newsletter. And we're going to talk about the dark web and what it is. And I have a little story to tell. Should I tell my story first?
Sure.
Yeah? Okay, so first time I ever discovered what the dark web is I was reading a fictional novel. It was like a crime novel of sorts, and they were investigating like a murder, of course, and they had to go onto the dark web to find where these people were hanging out on these private forums, and having their little chats, and then they had to dig for usernames and stuff like that. It's fictional. But when they mentioned the Tor browser, I was like, I wonder if that's real. And my kids, of course, they knew. They're like, Mom, it is real. Why did you download that? Because I put it on our family desktop. They're like, why did you download? I was curious if it was real or not. So related to that story is a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, had done the same thing, had downloaded the browser and had actually clicked around on the dark web, and then she had to have her computer fixed, because one of the things I do know about the dark web is it doesn't have URL addresses like .com, .info, .net. It has these weird, so you don't know what you're clicking on. And she got compromised, so her computer had to be fixed and cleaned and all that kind of stuff. So that's my little introduction to the dark web. According to an article that I shared with you two, there's like 3 levels. There's the surface web that we all use on Google Chrome, on Edge. There's a deep web that contains like medical information, legal documents, scientific reports, all kinds of stuff. And then below that is the dark web, where all the illegal stuff is, encrypted websites, stuff like that. So that's what I know.
So
do you guys, yeah, go ahead.
The important thing to remember is accessing the dark web in itself is not illegal.
No, it's not.
But what you do when you get there can be illegal.
It can be, yes, absolutely.
Which is why it persists, and people who want to do illegal things use it, right? Like, what do they use it for? Well, if there's a data breach for a company and they get a bunch of usernames and passwords, they might try to sell them to people who could use them to hack your accounts. That's illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that important to us?
Because we have software that, we have a service. Yep. It's not free. We talked about that before. It's actually quite pricey, but you can do it annually, like you said, just to look and see what's out there on the dark web.
Yep.
And what it does is it scours the dark web for emails and usernames in your organization. And if it discovers them out there, then you know that your data has been compromised and you can do something about it.
It looks for like email addresses by domain. So
okay.
It would be divasilvitz at dstech.net.
Right.
So if that showed up, that would be on our report because that's the domain we would look for. And so we discussed this a little bit quite a while ago. And you have to kind of look at the report that we get from the dark web. So we discussed this a little bit as far as what it's telling you. Okay. And we discussed this a little bit. If it finds Aaron's username and password from 2014 when he was in, a member of some legitimate, organization that got attacked, and you've changed your password or you're not even a member there anymore, whatever, that's nothing quite to be concerned about. It shows you why you need to change your password and use different passwords for every account. But
right,
we haven't.
We talked about that a little bit before we came on live too, when we were talking about our mutual friend's story. And if they found one password and you are one of those people that uses the same password everywhere, it's easy to go on social media, see where you live, and guess what banks you use, right? Stuff like that.
And the ones that in the ones that doesn't matter where you live, like an Amazon account, or they could
sure,
Twitter account, or
yeah, how many people have an Amazon account? Probably
right.
Everybody almost.
In PayPal and whatever else.
Yeah.
So they can get very pointed.
Yeah.
So some of the things you have to, kind of like, okay, maybe that's worth the risk. But we ran one several years ago on a customer. It was not a customer of ours, a business, and the vice president's name came up on a breach or on a username and password were leaked from like literally less than a week prior to the date of the report. And the reports tell you where did this come from, like a data breach or whatever it might be. This one showed up as a keylogger, which is a piece of malware that's put on your computer, and it transmits every keystroke you type in your computer to some bad person somewhere, and they're not going to use it to for good.
Well, and it's on the dark web, which means it's somewhere where everybody on the dark web can find these usernames.
Right. And that's something to be highly alarmed about.
Yeah.
If with one of our customers, if that showed up. So these reports we run, we do the same thing. We look at it. If there's anything that's, if you're a customer of ours and you get the dark web report and there's something that's like that, we will let the customer know and say, hey, look, Bob, this is what happened. You have a big problem with your vice president or this guy or that guy that has a keylogger on his system. You need to look into it, and you need to start changing passwords.
Yep. And here's what we do to clean it up. And if they are a customer of ours, we can clean it up for them.
Yeah, I've got a real quick point to make too. So the information on the dark web doesn't just miraculously populate there. It's not just poof, there your credentials are.
No.
That has been over time populated by hacking, phishing, you name it. There's a slew of nefarious deeds where they go ahead and trick you or somehow obtain your information. They then post that. They then use that information on the dark web, post it, and then collect money from people who are interested in purchasing that information. So it's not just one little piece that kind of contributes to all of this. There's a stack of things involved that contribute to this dark web population.
Database of sorts.
This database, yes.
And
what we do at DS Tech is we try to provide a large coverage to account for a lot of these different little areas like phishing, or understanding what the dark web is all about and how your information gets there, just so that your business is better protected going forward.
One thing I found interesting about the dark web in general is why and how it was created. And it was not created by criminals. It was actually created for like spy communication and for anonymity, for groups to have a place to gather where it's anonymous, right?
Yep.
So it's interesting. It's interesting. And then of course, something like that, there will be people that
Mhm.
make it into a double-edged kind of.
Right. I would, and I don't know 100%, but I would even go so far to expand upon that and say that I believe the origination of a lot of the dark web database and structure was educational based or institutional based, meaning these large educational repositories of knowledge and data needed a place to share this knowledge and had created this sort of structure, this back end structure that was used,
Probably.
that is
Yeah.
used. Mhm.
Yeah.
And like
It's
you said,
interesting.
somebody got a good idea or bad idea or whatever you want to call
Both.
it and said,
It's both, right?
yeah,
It's both.
said, hey, I could use this to my advantage, and there it was.
Yeah. Evidently, government agencies, the alphabet agencies, I call them, like, that have letters in their name, use the dark web to spy, and just like in the fictional novel, to find out stuff that maybe they need to investigate, right? Criminal activity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Don't go on there, right? We're not ever saying go on the dark web. You always have to be careful what you click on.
Mm-hmm.
Always,
Well,
even on the World Wide Web and in your email, everywhere, right, Dave?
Exactly. My when I was teaching my high school age kids, my students, when I told them they would BitTorrent things, right? You download movies and games and things like that.
That's not legal.
And I would tell them, well, BitTorrent isn't illegal, it's just a mechanical way of doing something.
Sure.
But now when you're BitTorrenting something you don't have the rights to,
when you're
like a movie or a
stealing
game or
software, or
exactly,
stealing movies, or
That's
stealing
illegal.
music, right? Yeah.
And you can do, you can steal stuff that is not yours on the regular web too.
And there will be malware like intertwined in those downloads.
Yeah, we just talked
sure.
about this yesterday.
Yeah.
Just a random conversation about remember the old music sharing, Kazaa and BearShare and
Napster,
LimeWire. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you think you're downloading a nice little, I'm going to download my favorite song, and it's like half of it's a song and half of it's some horrible virus.
Right? Oh,
Yeah. So
gotta be careful.
yep.
Okay. Go ahead.
And I just say it's funny how it's changed now, because the musicians thought that the music sharing was going to kill their business, and now that they sell music online and make millions. They adapted and whatever. So
yeah, and some of them are smart about it. Like, I think it was maybe Kid Rock. I was looking for a particular song that my husband liked.
Yeah.
To get for him, but I couldn't get just the song. I had to buy the whole album digitally, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever. It's worth it because they're talented musicians and they got to get paid too, right? Yeah. Anything else you want to add about the dark web? If
you're interested and want to, even if you're not a customer or you are a customer, go online. I think we have a way to request
service. We do.
Yeah.
And you can open up a ticket there. You can put in, just a request to talk to someone.
Yep.
It's all there. And don't forget about our newsletter, because then you are always in touch and you're always on top of what's going on out there.
And be patient with us. Our web is being, our website, I'm sorry.
Is being
our website
revamped.
is being worked on.
True.
So we've heard a few, like certain parts of it are down at different times or anything. So.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yep.
They can always call us or email us.
Exactly.
Or come see us on Facebook on Thursday mornings at 11. 906-786-3583. Yeah, you betcha. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks,
Have a
Dave.
great day.
See you guys.